All right, so I'm getting ready for a dune trip. So I just got done with that rallycross event. And so today I basically had to go through and undo all those changes, kind of put it back to normal. So I kind of gave myself some new notes. I got rear shock and front shock. And then I got like my rally mode, my dune mode, and what the measurement is of the ride height nut and the secondary nut. I'm gonna try leaving these new top springs in that I put in. I've been looking for a little softer ride in the front anyway, the last couple trips. So it was a 225 over 250 originally. And I had set it up pretty stiff before I added the front sway bar, and I just never went back and changed it because I just hadn't had a reason to take it apart. So I'm gonna leave these 150s in there. So I kind of gave myself my best guess of where that secondary nut's gonna be. I'll probably be playing with that. And then the last dune trip, the rear setup's virtually identical. It's just the ride height. So I just moved the ride height collar back down to where it was. I took good notes before I changed it. But I did lower my secondary nut a ½ inch from where it used to be to engage a little sooner. I'm super happy. This is a 150 over a 150. With my setup, I'm super happy with the ride. But when I push it hard, it does bottom out. So moving the secondary nut down will engage, the stiffer of the two rates sooner. So I'm going to give that a try. And that's probably something I'll end up playing with some more, while I'm there also. Depending on my time, I've got a little bit more time to work on this before my trip, but I did buy a new set of pulleys. It's a double V belt for the crank, and then a matching one for the power steering pump. This looks like it's going to be a real pain in the butt to do on my rig, just because my power steering pump is basically under my turbo now, and I don't have a ton of time to get ready, so I might just deal with it for this trip again. But if I'm going to bring the parts and the tools, because I'm going to be there for several days. So I'll probably bring this stuff so I can do it there if it becomes a real big problem. But something I noticed after the rallycross event is these two bolts that go into the head were both loose. Like the top one is about ready to fall out. I'm not sure what happened there. And the belt itself was kind of loose. So I'm going to give my little idler pulley a second chance. Yeah, so I made sure everything was tight. I have a real tight clearance issue here with my fan. So I might clip these corners all a little bit, and that'll let me push my my idler a little deeper. So that's something I can try. I'm a little nervous to do that, to cut this. I mean, it's already hit a little bit when I had it adjusted too tight previously, because I don't want to mess with the balance, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a try. Tightening those bolts, readjusted everything. Because I've driven this thing around on the street quite a bit, doing the tuning, really running it hard, and I didn't have any issues. And then the very first corner of the rallycross, so I'm wondering if just those bolts, was letting that thing flop around, and once it was under load in the dirt, it just loosened itself up. So I'm gonna give it a try. I mean, ideally, I'd like to keep the serpentine. It's a better belt system when it's right. So, and yeah, this is a PSC pump. It's like the 1600 or 1650 PSI. That thing paired with this Toyota steering box, that's one of the most favorite parts of this rig, is the steering. It is just so good, so powerful. It still has decent feel. It doesn't feel completely numb like a forklift or something. So yeah, I just got to get it to be reliable. So yeah, I did all the spring adjustments, pulled off, you know, these tires and the wheel spacers. These are 15 by 10s. So they stick out about the same as these did with the 1.5-inch wheel spacers. These actually may be another 1/2 inch. Yeah, there's some 32-inch System 3 SS 360s. I bought these used. They're okay. As far as climbing, they work pretty well. They just don't really steer that great. The thing really pushes. And then Sand Tires Unlimited 1300s. These are just used. You know, all the stuff I buy used because these things are just crazy expensive new, and they're pretty roached. You know, they've been used on the, you know, going through parking lots and stuff. It kind of tears up the center of the paddle, and then they start folding over. And so I end up getting these like from my buddies that run them on their high-powered side-by-sides. And when they switch out to new ones, I snag up their used ones. But overall, like it really goes with these. It sits on the surface. It doesn't dig. Just the footprint's, you know, vastly bigger than what these guys are. And it's a soft tire, so it conforms to the surface of the sand. Yeah, so I'm stoked. This is going to be the first like real sand dune test with the turbo. It ran good at the rallycross event, so I'm feeling pretty solid. Yeah, I'm just can't wait to see how she does. This thing's it's always been fun in the sand. It's got enough power to get around. It just, you know, the big climbs it couldn't do. So I'm just really looking forward to see how she does. Like I've talked about before, now that I've got some boost, you know, it's pretty addicting. I'm slowly working on parts to put together a new bottom end. I think this thing with like 200 horsepower would be awesome. See the pants, I'm guessing it's making 150 now. You know, based on older dyno testing that I've done, it made 68 to the wheels. So that tells me about 100 at the crank. And so just the way it feels on the road, I'm guessing it's making 150. You know, on 8 pounds of boost, that math more or less works out. Still not perfect. You know, it's got the 272 cam. Still kind of, it's a lot better in the bottom end, but it's still not great. So when I build this new engine, it's gonna have just a stock cam. And more boost. Try to make 200 horsepower, I think it's gonna be sweet. So far, my kind of half-ass heat shielding is working out. I'm gonna do something nicer kind of once I know for sure that this is okay. I got this like gold reflective tape. This pipe gets a little warm, you know, and that's my intake air coming in, so that's not great. I want to get more of this like corrugated, quilted, whatever stuff, and wrap that with a small air gap. Yeah, this is going to be the first big test, so hopefully this time I actually remember my GoPro and get some good footage, and see how this thing does. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this new front spring does too. Because I was really happy. Really, the only thing I could nitpick is if I got into, you know, usually we do a lot of group rides, and we kind of stay single file to be safe and not act like jackasses out there. But when I get it in someone's tracks that's got big paddles, it just like just really kind of vibrates the front of this thing. So I'm hoping that helps out. I know the valving in the shocks is a little tight too. Again, I did that as a band-aid for not having the sway bar. But these shocks are about due for a service, so I'm gonna pull them down soon and do that. That's pretty much it. Just doing my normal switch over, took the windshield back off. I got this little like fill panel that hides the ugly back of the dash. I've got another piece that goes here. but it's kind of ugly right now. It needs to be painted or something, so. Because it's actually, this piece I had to do down at King of the Hammers. I didn't realize you couldn't have a gap here for the rules. And so it's like a piece of like roofing flashing. And so it's like galvanized steel. And so it looks kind of scuzzy now. It's 5 years old. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, this winter is going to be hopefully going to be tearing this thing all the way down to the bare frame. Give it a good once over for cracks and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to make some minor changes here and there to the cage. And repainting it. And I'm trying to figure out like a whole different color scheme to do. I'm getting kind of bored with this one. Got a couple different ideas I'm not going to share yet. One of them's pretty wild. We'll see how that turns out. So yeah, I will continue on here from this point once I'm in the dunes, and we'll have some footage. All right, down in Coos Bay. Got a couple runs in already. Things running awesome. So far, so good. Just got back from a long ride. Basically, well, most of the length of the dunes here. Things working awesome. I'm running out of gears now. Before, I've typically run third, fourth. I'm in fifth almost all the time now. So far, so good. No issues. It's running great. We're in a pretty good spot here. Up on a little hill. This is a Hauser Road entrance at Coos Bay. Now it's time to do some shock tuning. I'm outrunning my previous shock tune. It was tuned pretty good for the speed I could do before, and now I'm pushing them too far. So that's probably going to be one of the next projects. do it again. All right, Sunday late morning, good trip, no big issues. Heading out, got everything loaded up. Time for about a 4 to 5 hour drive home. So thanks for watching.